Hello and welcome to another WriterlyWitterings with me, Michael Dix, the tea-drinking author who is currently drinking coffee, just for a change, because it's chilly out, and it makes sense. So, today, I did warn you I was liable to be talking about either paper or pens. I'm going to be talking about pens. I've got an interesting comparison between the Michael Dix pen that was designed for Conway Stewart, getting on for 20 odd years ago I think now, and the modern Winston, which is a delightful pen in Dartmoor. So let's compare and contrast. And so, here you see we have two identical boxes. This one says Conway Stewart and this one says Conway Stewart. What a lovely pair they are. And what's inside? Basically, we have two Winston fountain pens. And they are gorgeous. Really, really gorgeous. This is the modern Winston. This is the Detection Club version. Detection Collection, I should say, not Detection Club. So on the top here, you can hopefully see there's a magnifying glass. And when it's the right way up, magnifying glass with DC in the middle, which was a nice logo. I helped Conway Stewart design that logo many, many years ago. This, however, has nothing on the cap, and the cap itself, as you can see, is rounded on the edge. Now, the interesting thing is these are both Dartmoor resin. Let's just get the boxes out of the way so I can talk about them a bit more sensibly. There we go. Now, these two pens are basically the same. They're exactly the same length, they're the same weight, but there is a mild difference. If I pick them up here, I think you can just see that this Winston now is more greyish greenish than this, which is much more of a brownish tinge. Now the odd thing is that the brownish tinge I think works really, really well. It is much more the sort of colour of Dartmoor, but I still like the original. This one's the original. You probably can't see it very clearly there, but just there it's got my signature, which was very carefully engraved, and originally it was beautiful because it was inlaid with gold leaf, and likewise the top of the cap, the DC, was inlaid with gold leaf too. But let's first of all have a look at the new one, and then I'll talk a little bit about where it's different from my old one. So, this is the current style of Winston. First of all, I do just adore that resin. Dartmoor resin to me is subtle, it's got a classical look to it, and I think it's just beautiful. The clip is a standard, almost brutal clip. It is very, very firm indeed. And it is bound in place by the top of the cap, which I think's a very efficient way of having a clip attached. It is solid, it isn't going to go anywhere. It has the first ring of gold with the clip, and then two further rings down here, and a fourth ring at the back. The shape of it is not parallel-sided. there is a distinct bulge. When you look at the cap, you can feel that it swells there and reduces to a slightly slimmer diameter at the rings. The rest of the pen also swells up to here. That's the maximum swelling there, if you get my meaning, and then it slims down to the end there. If I open it up, there is yet another gold ring here. The section reduces in diameter to here and then flares slightly so that your fingers aren't tempted to run off the end. It is a big pen. You can post. I would never post this. It's far too top heavy. The weight of that clip, apart from anything else on the cap, is quite stunningly heavy. It has the new style Conway Stewart nib, which is, I think, rather lovely. It hasn't got the flag, as some of the recent nibs have had from Conway Stewart. This is branded CS. I like the two-tone nature. I think that works very nicely. On this ring, you have the assay marks to prove that it is actual gold. It's not some lightweight material. And again, just look at the subtle shimmering that goes on inside that beautiful resin. It is a glorious material to have in a pen. So that's the basics. What is different between that and this in terms of the general looks? The two pens look remarkably similar when you take them out of the caps. This is the old style Conway Stewart nib, which is plain gold. And it is 18 karat gold. Both of them say 18 karat. The new style is a bold, a broad nib rather, a B, whereas my old nib, this one, is an italic medium, which I think is just lovely. The difference when you get to the caps is only the rounded nature of the Winston compared to the squared off flat head of the Detection Collection, which means you can actually stand it on its head. Now, I'm going to fill these. How do you fill them? They are not cartridge converter pens. They are rather delicious. Piston fillers. To fill them, you have to remove this blind cap here, and inside you have this knurled knob, and you turn that to suck ink in or squirt it out again. With my original, which I'll just show here, the knob itself seems to be slightly smaller, or it's held more inside the barrel, I'm not sure, but certainly I find it a bit more fiddly to use than the new one. Sorry, I got that wrong. There's a minus going anti-clockwise, there's a plus going clockwise, and that means, I think, mustn't get these caps mixed up because that would look very odd. So clockwise is to fill it, so I'm going to unwind this completely. So to fill this pen, all you do is dunk it in your ink bottle and turn that knob clockwise. I should say thank you to Conway Stewart, because I've done so many reviews of their pens now, and I'm not paid for reviewing Conway Stewart pens. I just do it because I love the pens. but because I've done so many reviews, they've sent me this nice bottle of Onyx Black. There you go, Onyx Black from Conway Stewart, although it doesn't say that, it just says fountain pen ink. Hey, interesting. Anyway, it is, oh dear, managed to spill it everywhere now. It is a delightful ink made by Diamine, I have no doubt, because everything's made by Diamine in this country, isn't it? And why not? They make jolly good inks. So we have a clean pen. Got a little bit of paper that hasn't been already scribbled on. Here we go. And let's just see how it writes. And it is beautiful. Oh yes. Wonderful semi-flex nib, I'd say. It's very, very soft. Now, I had this made for me many, many years ago as the first of the Detection Collection pens, Detection Collection, and I still adore it. I love the resin. I really like the feel of the pen in the hand. It's a very good weight. I'll put the dimensions down the bottom. The nib is wonderful to write with. I've never had an italic type nib before, but I'm very, very pleased with this. It does feel gorgeous. I should just say I'm hoping to get a selection of different nibs from Conway Stewart in the not too distant future, so I can demonstrate the difference between a snub nib, an italic nib, fine, broad, medium, etc. The only thing I didn't like about this so much was the filling mechanism, because yes, it works. I do like the fact that it's got a reasonable reservoir for ink, but it's not as good as, say, a Visconti. It is roughly the same capacity, I think, as a cartridge converter. And that, with an italic nib, meant that I was running out of ink every 8 to 10 pages. So I did move on to other pens which didn't need so much ink, perhaps. But as a pen to keep using at home, at my desk, I just love this. I absolutely love it, especially since every now and again, when I just want to rest it, on my desk, I can use the cap as a sort of pen rest, which sits there very neatly. This is much the same. It is, I think, a beautiful looking pen. I think the resin with the slightly more brownish tinge actually works better than my original. So this new Dartmoor resin, I think, works superbly well. I love the feel. I love the slight swelling in the cap. I love the slight swelling on the barrel. I mean, that nib is just superb. Cannot fault it at all. That is gorgeous. And the blind cap for filling, I find, is a lot easier than the one in my original, because it sticks out a little bit further. It's much easier to grip. For those of you who don't necessarily want to write 100 pages at a time, and let's be realistic, not many of us do, if you like a weighty pen, something that really does feel as though you're holding something of value, if you like a pen that has a classic look about it, I cannot think of a better pen than this. I have to say I infinitely prefer it to the Churchill. I find the Churchill slightly too long compared to this, and the strange, it's not strange, but the parallel-sided look of the cap and the barrel just don't appeal to me quite as much as the look of this beauty. But that's all personal taste, isn't it? But I have to say that nib is absolutely superb. This is a pen that you'd buy it once and you'll use it a lot. So I hope that was interesting. Thanks a lot for watching. If you've got any questions, put them in the bottom. I'm going to put the dimensions of the pen down there so that you know exactly what the size is and the weight is and so on. And apart from that, please like the video, share it, subscribe, hit the bell button if you want to get notified of the next video coming out, and all that sort of good stuff. You know what to do. And then I will see you in a week's time with either, could be another new pen, or I could be talking about notebooks. I haven't decided yet, because the other new pen hasn't arrived yet. There you go. There's a bit of honesty for you. Right, thanks a lot for watching, and I will speak to you soon. Take care. And now, I'm going to do some more writing with this. This is a fantastic pen. Yeah. Oops.